I don't have the little hand, but I speak. On behalf of Mark, the son of Peter George, he had difficulty speaking, but so did I, a little, because we are very close to Peter George. So we know we are a bit sad, in short. And he wrote this to me today. Do you know what hurts? Forgetting, or at least idealizing, that it is a good path for him and for us, and putting one's own plans into a future that is missing. When I think about what I would have wanted to do, everything becomes more difficult. Pain, tears, and sadness take hold of me. I am sufficiently clear-headed to understand that it is precisely there that the evil insinuates itself, suggesting that it would have been better to do as you had planned. Dad, in these months, has taught us to rely on accepting, sometimes passively, sometimes inexplicably, too passively, what reality imposed. He tried to rebel at first, but then every physical piece that was taken from him was let go as a due act towards a good destiny. A destiny he trusted, in which he saw the after as a good for him, never a complaint, never a curse, never a why me. Only at the beginning was he sad and depressed. Then something happened. In this something, there was the meeting with the quarantines and with Andrew Machiavelli, his high school friend. From there, he was reborn and became a testimony for everyone. This is an intervention by Mark, the son of. And then I would also like to say something, but I don't know if maybe you want to say something first. I'll say it later because it is also related to this. In my experience with the quarantines, I am totally intertwined with everyone. So for me, they are just like a family. When these things happen, it really gets to me. It really gets to me a lot. Lately, it has been a really tough period since after the vacation we took in Calamborone, because so many things have happened. Truly wonderful people, very dear friends, like Danielle, have gone to heaven. And then a very dear friend of mine has gotten much worse and has been hospitalized. Then there's the son of Francis Alexander, who is with his mom in America, trying out this therapy. We don't know what will happen. So all these things during this period have really put a weight on my heart, like a lump in my throat. And I even told Father Eugene about this because I almost took it as a lack of faith. I thought, if I feel this heavy burden in the face of so much pain, it's because deep down in the end, I don't believe in it. It's not a good destiny. But I have to say the truth, didn't comfort me because he told me it has absolutely nothing to do with that this is a sign, it's a sign of the affection, the attachment we have for each other, right? The love we have for each other. And so this thing here will not be taken from me, and the weight in my chest has nothing to do with a lack of faith. Then I made a great discovery because a friend, Giovanna Conti, who is suffering from ALS and never writes to me, sent me a message during this period asking, "How are you?" I mean, she asked me, "How are you?" Why did he write to me? But everyone asks you to pray for. Everyone asks you for prayer intentions, but no one asks you how you are. I want to know how you are. And it was important because this made me work on myself, meaning I didn't just respond to her trivially. I really wanted to tell her how I was doing. And I made an incredible discovery that this pain, I don't know how to say it, this sadness that you sometimes feel is part of the hundredfold. The hundredfold that is given to me precisely thanks to the experience I live with the Quadratini, because I discovered that along with this, I can love 100 times more. I can love 100 times more. It's not something of mine. And so the pain is 100 times greater, and the sadness is 100 times greater too. Now, I don't know if it's really like that, but that's what I felt.
But if this is a burden on your heart, right? Who will make you do it?
Due to the presence of an abundant and overflowing grace that is ever present and all-encompassing, that is always available and surrounds us in every moment, providing us with endless support and comfort.
This is the first thing that needs to be looked at, because one could disconnect and it's over, finished only for a while, because facing this situation every day, as Peter George's son says, or you, makes us understand that every person who walks their path and every person are so connected that their path is not indifferent to us. They are the ones who truly become companions to the truth of life. Because if you weren't faced with this situation, every day you would be more tempted to forget what life is, that life is walking towards destiny. And so, to answer your question, if this is the act of faith and if this is the opportunity that the mystery gives you, to be able to stand before every friend who suffers or who departs for the other shore precisely because you are on a journey of faith, if the mystery answers your question, it answers our question, which can come to us many times, right? But why do I feel this weight? Why do I perceive how hard it is to face this? Is it a lack of faith, right? The mystery comes to meet us in this, putting you in front of friends who, precisely because of the bond you have with them, force you through the entire journey of faith. And this is the way others become companions in destiny, because they are not indifferent to us. To face the death of George, one, precisely because they are not insensitive, precisely because they are not a stone, must ask themselves, am I crazy for thinking there is a good destiny, or am I full of reasons and must return every time to the reasons why I believe there is a good destiny? And so every time it is a work, as you say, perfectly on oneself, because we cannot remain only on the surface, only detached, but we must ask ourselves, beyond this detachment, is there something that he is already enjoying or not? The sign that we can already experience as an initial response to this question is the 100-fold that we experience, because living life with this awareness gives life, the journey, the moment, the hours, a density that I don't know who lives superficially, as if they get by living the moment without meaning. Empty, so many people living empty lives, young or not so young, who deep down think that this is an easier life, but I don't really know if it's easier to endure the emptiness or to face this challenge that constantly brings them closer. Those who suffer pain or leave or force us to act. And each person must verify this in their own experience. Why? Because Christianity, as Father Giussani has always taught us, demands from men Nothing is mechanical. Each person, when faced with this, can either freeze or take advantage of this challenge that life presents to friends who embark on the journey of faith. And like Sirius, the mystery responds to your concern about the lack of faith. Stop worrying, as they say in practice. Stop worrying every time. If you want to face things as an adult in front of what happens, ask yourself if you can do it without going through the entire journey of faith. And then you will start to have an answer that is not just theoretical. I tell you, it is so. If it is not your experience, you begin to recognize that perhaps if you were not facing this every day, you would not be on this path. That is what we have said many times, that the circumstance is an opportunity to walk towards destiny. Thank you, Francis and Christina. What? Say yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hi, Francis.
I am Christina, and he is actually Francis. And we wrote a few lines to summarize so as not to be too long. So we got married almost exactly 2 years ago, and this past February, Peter was born prematurely at 23 weeks. He was born 5 months before the due date for reasons that are still unknown, and it is an extreme prematurity. Below 23 weeks, they don't resuscitate, so it was. And after his birth, a real and true ordeal began in intensive care, with being endless, seemingly never-ending days where we stayed there, dressed in front of the incubator, waiting and hoping, and the doctors told us to enjoy every minute with Peter because it was uncertain if he would survive. So we decided the day after his birth to baptize him. There would be so many things to say, so many emotions to express, that there were many wounds, a lot of pain and suffering in all these long months of agony, where we often asked ourselves, if the Lord truly wants him with him, why do we have to endure this agony? Why doesn't he take him immediately? But the days slowly passed, and so indeed he also had a life-saving heart surgery. And among the eye surgeries, he had multiple episodes of hemorrhages, one cerebral, one pulmonary. Throughout all these months, there was certainly a lot of struggle, a lot of pain, as if a promise seemed to be interrupted, right? However, it is different from what we had imagined. Precisely in these moments when we struggled to understand the meaning of everything, there were many miracles. Among these was how much we were loved, how much Peter was loved. A whole community from all over the world prayed for him and for us. A wonderful family was born with. All the parents in the intensive care unit, even with the parents who lost their children, because almost all the babies born like Peter have gone to heaven. The love of our families, all our friends, the friendship with everyone, with the little squares, Father Eugene and Rose, and also another prayer group that was formed. All this goodness and infinite goodness. Miraculously, Peter is at home with us, and it is a true miracle after almost 6 months of intensive care. We are at home with oxygen, many medicines, many checkups, and with the outcomes of his prematurity, which are still unknown. We do not know how much his level of disability will be in the future based on the brain injuries he has sustained. And indeed, the most incredible thing is how much, regardless of what his fate would have been, he was loved from the very beginning by everyone, and so were we along with him. And in all this chaos, we often fall, but we try to carry this cross and to stay in the circumstances, even if often humanly we don't want them or we didn't imagine them. And, well, we try to say that famous yes that you always hear about, right? And we are on a journey to fully express it, yes, with all the struggles that come with it, the complaints, the sadness, the anger, often the envy. Yes, humanly speaking. Sometimes there are also comparisons with maybe our peers and so on. And then I, in particular, suffer from anxiety, panic attacks, so I find it hard to manage. All of this,
So we really want to trust more and more in a plan that is not ours.
a life without Peter, we would never work. We would never replace him. I mean, in the end, even with all the effort, we wouldn't replace Peter for anything in the world. The fear is there, the fear of losing him again. But it's not in our hands, in our success as a mother or father. There is a point where it's not in our control. And when I start to complain about what is missing, I look at Peter and think about how much he saves me every day, saves us every day. Thanks to him, my heart can truly say that I need God. Thanks to Peter, I always seek the Father who loves us. And in the end, even though he has made us face struggles and endure suffering, thanks to him, we can truly strive to say yes to Jesus completely. Indeed.
Francis, do you want to say something?
You need to give the microphone to Rose.
Here he is.
Here we are. No, nothing. Like the Red Cross, I too have truly and incredibly experienced these months of extreme struggle, because fighting for a child's life is something I never thought I would have to do before it happened. I have to say that. Peter, and also the friends who were by our side during this challenging period, truly taught us a lot about living in the present moment, because it wasn't even possible to foresee what would happen tomorrow, especially for Peter, who was facing uncertainty. It helped us a lot to see how valuable the present moment is, and also to have faith, because it's something we wouldn't have been able to handle on our own. It's an inhuman thing to be there with a child who might die. And so it's something that alone we couldn't have managed. We wouldn't be able to. And in fact, we were somewhat forced and taught to rely on God through friends, relatives, and even acquaintances, because at that moment, precisely because the present moment was precious, even people we might have barely known or parents we had just met were precious to us in this.
Thank you. There's a question that comes to mind as I listen to you and everything you're going through now with hindsight of what is happening. I wish it had been avoided. Sam.
Sorry that we turned off the audio, but no, absolutely not.
This seems to me to be the only answer to your question, because there, every time you have the question, which is very human, it couldn't be otherwise. That in front of such a situation, the question wouldn't arise. But how can we answer this question full of reasons? Do we invent the reasons ourselves, or do we have them in our experience? And what you said is that all the reasons you were surprised to live, like every moment of life, you could never have lived so freely with any other child. Every moment of Peter's life was perceived, so much so that even the doctors had to give in. Look at that, why? Each moment is given. Imagine what it means to become aware of this, to look at each other. Now, thanks to Peter's presence, that Christina is so present freely for the work of another, to you, Francis, and you, Francis, to Christina, and met both of you to Peter. This density of your being together, of your awareness of what the gift of living is that we all take for granted. I would ask everyone who is participating right now, how many of you woke up today with the awareness that you did? You woke up again and it's still there. It means, God, that we have many empty moments in life. When one realizes what kind of gift it is, not the fact of the illness, but the fact of understanding what the grace of living is, and the grace of living with a child like this. So Ted, if one does not look at this and does not see how this is perceived with all the good that you have mentioned, now repeating everything that we have all heard, one could not give a reasonable answer to your question. For this reason, I understand that every time you complain, you need to go back and follow this path. But if I didn't do this every day, I would miss out on the best part of living. Because at a certain point, deep down, what we dream of is that it would be so mechanical that we wouldn't need to do it. But one morning, if you took your existence, the existence of Peter, the existence of Francis, for granted, it would be empty. The intensity with which you live it now is for all of us, because thanks to you, we can. Be aware, point, of what this gift of living is, and who can make us aware that this is a gift It is not a gift because we say so, it is a gift because another who is giving life to Peter is only him. What anxiety will he have? In front of Peter's life, because only in this way can we see everything that is there, not just the appearance of the struggle, but everything that we often take for granted, which another person with this trepidation and passion is supporting and bringing to Peter's destiny according to a design that is not ours. But without this Father to whom you must return to overcome every complaint, it becomes familiar. Imagine what all this will mean for your life. Because such a thing leaves a mark, but even this can fade over time if one does not. Learn to continuously follow this path as a way of living as mature adults in front of the full depth of reality. For this, thank you for the testimony you give us about the type of work we are all called to do, no matter the situation. Thank you. Finally, thank you all. We also send our hugs to you. Gigi from Concorezzo.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Wait while I go get the text to read, so we can at least do this quickly. It's gone. Let's see. Well, so the last 4 months have been very hard on my health. During the vacation in Calambron, I had to return a day early due to severe back pain, which was discovered to be caused by ongoing pleuritis and pericarditis that also caused serious arrhythmias in my heart. The treatment for these ailments was tough. Insomnia, fatigue, headaches, extreme weakness, days spent motionless in bed and on the couch, a lot of loneliness. But the thing that struck me the most was realizing that I could no longer button my shirt or take off my socks or do the simplest daily tasks. I felt a bit hurt. Sometimes I would cry in front of a button. Similarly, I would also cry when someone buttoned it for me. What gratitude I feel realizing that he responds to my most concrete needs. And that's why I found myself living throughout the day with a kind of strange underlying joy that I couldn't explain, in which the relationship with the Lord was always present. Even to argue with him, I understood that it was mortifying me, and there were dark moments of despair, almost of skepticism. And at the same time, all of this was questioning me. Lady, what do you want from me? What are you asking of me? I only need you to see your gaze upon me. He has placed me here in these months in a beautiful place in Tuscany with incredible views, fairy tale sunsets. I discovered that they are not enough for me. Nothing satisfies my heart. I have experienced that my heart is made for the infinite. Nothing is enough for me if I don't see your presence in my day, even with the sunsets, and that you button my buttons, take off my socks, prepare my milk in the morning, and go on with everything else made up of small, almost insignificant things. Every moment you have given me to see you. At work through the evident and tangible signs of my reality, even when I have very intense pains that no doctor has explained the nature of, but fortunately last only a few tens of minutes. I'm surprised to feel the hand of Nala, who silently is there by my side. And I offer to you, Jesus, on the cross, right as I live through these pains. Perhaps this is why our Christ smiles. Then I understood that the mortifications are helping me to purify my heart, to obey with all my being what He has in mind for me, to love Him more and more each day. For now, I am infinitely grateful to have the certainty that He is there, and I enjoy Him in the moment He gives me, and that I live. I am done.
Thank you, Gigi. Because you were already made for the infinite. But what a struggle we had to go through in life to reach this awareness indeed. Unfortunately, it is only. Sometimes through certain circumstances, in front of dreamlike landscapes, like the ones in Tuscany, that you realize even this is not enough. This reminded me of a time when I was with some friends right there in Tuscany, seeing breathtaking views. And at one point, a person said to me, even when you look at these beautiful landscapes, at some point, I get tired of them. You can understand it because one thinks about it and says, but is this person out of their mind? No, because the more breathtaking it is, the more one realizes that even this does not satisfy, and the awareness grows even more that we are made for something beyond. Breathtaking landscapes. And so this is the beauty of every circumstance that we walk towards destiny through these circumstances. If we do not stop only at the pain or suffering, but undertake this journey of knowledge that you speak of, right? We slowly come to realize who we are. And therefore, in whom we are made to move from repeating the right phrases, as we have done so many times in our lives, to live it as an experience, to say I with the awareness that you are saying it now, with a certainty you didn't imagine before. This is what makes the difference in life, that we are always walking more towards our destiny. Means that everything that happens to us, that the mystery does not spare us, is to be able to reach this certainty ever deeper, more at the root of our being, so that we can joyfully await the encounter with the infinite that is already present. This is thanks to Gio and Gigi, because this path is the one to which we are each called in our own circumstances